Hello everybody, welcome along to the JACKOCAR Cup Series. We are back, it is Season 4, it's round 9 and it is Austria, and you know what that means. We decide all of our playoff drivers. It's going to be a dramatic race as always. I'm your commentator Omar, with me is Jacko, and after the utter chaos we had last time out in Monza, it would take quite the race to beat it, but with these group of drivers and with this track, I reckon anything could happen tonight.
Yeah, good evening everybody. I was wondering how you remembered so far back, Owen, because it was a good old 2 weeks ago now.
I'm not that old yet.
Alright, well, please do remind me if you wouldn't mind.
Well, it was our first time winner, wasn't it?
It was throwback week, wasn't it? It was
throwback week. We had our first
retro
time.
Liveries.
Yeah, retro liveries. A first time winner in the most ridiculous circumstances I think we've ever seen in any league race in any game ever. Where obviously I think it was Jamie who won the race, wasn't it? Because
yes,
he was in his retro 2004 style Williams car, and there might have been a bit of an accident at the front after he got dive bombed in the final corner, fell down to third, top two, crashed across the line, lost the race. And it ended up being Jamie winning the race by what, 0.02 seconds? It was something like that.
You've reminded me enough to take over. So the gap was 0.33, sorry, 0.033 of a second. The closest winning margin in any JACKOCAR event ever. Quite unbelievable, with cars in the air over the finishing line and stuff like that. Absolutely fantastic. And somehow all of that, Cam managed to get himself a qualifying ban. I'm not sure how, but he will be the first car out tonight.
Yeah. So he can go out, do his installation lap, and then box it. So that's why you will be seeing him on track. It does, though, appear that we have our friend, the timing glitch, once again, as you can see.
Excellent.
The timer is at 16:32, and Cam is meant to be out at 17 minutes, and he's been here long enough to know that, so it's not him being an idiot, it's the game not working properly, and both me and Jacko being on PS5 probably doesn't help, unless you're going to tell me otherwise.
No, I'm going to tell you something else. Arnold in the chat saying dry to heavy rain in the race. That's something to look forward to.
That is something to look forward to. That is very exciting. I'm looking forward to that. Then that means that this qualifying session, really, I wonder what tyres we might see people go on to. If it's going to end up at heavy rain, then that probably means you'll have an intermediate phase in between. And how long will it take to get to that intermediate range? Will anyone look at doing a medium to enter to wet? You know, the two-stop strategy can still work there. Deck is the only driver on a Joker tonight, which means one stop. Will he have to try something creative to make that one work? The rain could really put a spanner in the works. And like I say, what a day for that to happen, since it is, of course, the day we decide our playoff drivers. Would you like to explain your genius system?
Which one? Because everything in the league that I've thought of as genius, Owen.
Well, the one I just mentioned, the playoffs.
Oh, the playoffs, yes. Let me just send this message and I'll be with you, Mr. Wyatt. As it happens, because of the way the points have changed for this season, Owen, the playoff running isn't as exciting as normal. However, like you say, we've got that rain, so it should be fairly interesting, I'm hoping. But it is Pete who is +9 ahead of the cut line, Vitino -9, and Ben Shaw or Iceman is -12. Everybody below Ben in the standings is in a must-win situation, with the exception of other Ben and Jess, who is now full-time once again. And everybody who isn't below Ben and is above Pete is already advanced, including Jordan and Jake, who advanced 2 weeks ago on points, along with the 5 full-time drivers who have won races this season.
Yeah, so obviously, as we say, with this heavy rain incoming, it means all those must-wins could happen, or at least one of those many must-wins could happen. We have had was it 7 different winners in the first 8 races, which does mean the likelihood of one of these must-wins actually winning isn't as low as you might expect. I mean, Jamie obviously got his one through last week as Racing validates
Oh,
his lap. But
welcome back to the Cup Series.
yeah, a rude awakening that one, isn't it? But other
Yeah.
drivers here in must-win situations. For instance, Kieran. Kieran, he'll be still feeling a little bit hurt over what happened in Japan, and he could be one of those that take a must-win tonight. Just look out for anyone, really. I mean, this is poised to be possibly the most dramatic night we've seen. Yes, I know you say it might not be, but we know what this group of drivers have been doing this season. Possibly the
Well,
most dramatic and competitive grid we've ever had.
and just to add some spice though, and don't forget we've still got to decide the regular season champion.
Indeed.
And I started a poll up this morning on Twitter, and Kyle, who is the points leader by 3 points, won that poll just 5 minutes ago. So 50% of the people who voted believe that he's going to do it tonight. Kyle, of course, won the Season 2 regular season championship before getting the penalty in Brazil. We remember it very well. Arnold also in the hunt. He won the Season 1 regular season championship and didn't even make it to Championship 5. And Khalifa won it last season and went on to win the championship. But the man who's in the hunt tonight, or the third man in the hunt tonight, is Cat, level on points with Arnold.
Yeah, so that'll be obviously decided with tonight's race, and it comes with a nice bonus, doesn't it, of playoff points, which will obviously be useful for progressing through the playoffs. I think, what's it, 12 points, isn't it, extra they get for winning it?
12 for first, 6 for second, and 3 for third.
Yeah, so it's a nice set of handy points that will go a long way potentially in putting them through towards the final races of the season and possibly propelling a title charge. So Yuri is the only driver to have set a lap time so far. We are waiting to see how Jess gets along. Now, anyone who watched our friendly rivals last week over at One Hub Racing, you might have saw me going a bit, oh my god, over Jess finishing on the podium here in the prospect race. So she has form. Unfortunately, 2.3 seconds off the pace might not be podium points, but you just never know with the rain. It's what got her that podium in One Hub because of the changeable conditions. So if there's anyone here who knows about Austria's changeable conditions, it is Jess. But of course, she can't actually get through if she wins the race anyway, because she's automatically into the chase because she hasn't done enough races as a full-time driver in the first part of the season to qualify for a chance at the playoffs.
And that's much like Ben Harrett, who you see on track now, Owen. He joined a little bit later on in the regular season, so even if he wins, he will not advance. Of course, all eyes, all the attention, all the focus goes towards the chase in that scenario. But what can he do in terms of a lap as we approach true turn 8 into true turn 9, turn 10 for some? Keeps it between the lines. The first of the 2 bends tonight up to the line. It's a P2 for now.
Obviously, in some cases, when you join the league late and end up being forced into a chase position, it isn't always the end of the world, because it means you could be a really quick driver grouped in with a set of maybe not so fast drivers, which means you actually do have a decent shot at Championship 5. This is why really you could join at this point at any point in the league and still have a realistic chance of winning the championship, and it's a really nice system.
Well, as it happens, a driver who's joined mid-season has always won the chase.
Yeah. There you go.
Think back, Season 1 was Jordan, Season 2 was Iceman, Season 3 was Janel. So who have we got this season who's joined halfway through? You've got Deck, you've got Jess, you've got Ben. Kieran goes second, by the way, but he's been here since the start. I think it's just those 3 that have joined mid-season.
Yes, that is an interesting start, isn't it? So we'll see how they all get on this season. If obviously some of them don't get through, like Deck could tonight, but that's just a few examples of what could happen. We'll see how it all pans out, because of course, with this qualifying session, we are seeing a few drivers putting mediums on, and that is what I was suggesting at the start, because if enough of these people qualify on mediums, that would suggest to me that they're going to try and stretch out a longer first stint, which is not something you commonly see in this league, and that would push them on to inters and then to wets. And it could mean that for the first time in JACKOCAR we have a really sort of different type, more sort of a traditional strategy for types of massively important races, and it'll sort of test every type of condition. But let's see how KK gets along. One of those drivers on the mediums. And yes, you will be able to hear fireworks outside. It's not quite Halloween yet, but there's a lot of fireworks, so I do apologise for all that. But that was committed from OKK, who's gone fourth fastest.
He was pushing the limits on the exit at turn 5 as well earlier. I'm surprised he got away with that and at turn 9, but he did. And like you say, good enough for P4. Up next is Camo Babo, coming in on the back of a double win in TGP2 last night. He goes second.
His form's been picking up, hasn't it, in terms of his general pace. It's good to see him sort of getting himself back up there. Of course, he was right in the running back in season 1 and 2, wasn't he? He was one of the quicker drivers, and he's fell off a little bit, but he's on his way back up, I think, and it's good to see him up in second place. We'll see if that can stick for the rest of the session. Depends how many go mediums, I suppose. Deck is one of them on mediums, and we'll see where he can go in the orange car. As he sees...
Second's also the Joker tonight.
Yeah, Joker, of course, as well. As he sees himself go P6. Might not be enough to stay in the top 10, but doesn't really matter, I suppose, if you're on a Joker. And we'll see where he ends up. Next up is Thomas. He's another driver. He hasn't necessarily been on the best form after a strong couple of seasons at the start of their JACKOCAR careers, but still one of the OGs. And gonna see if he can go anywhere tonight. Of course, he did get a podium at one point in the season, didn't he, in Silverstone? But apart from that, the season's not really been the best for him. But we'll see how his form around Austria ends up being. It's a 44.7 in the middle sector. We'll see how it all ends up.
Took the words out of my mouth there, Owen. I was going to bring up his podium in Silverstone, but never mind, you've done it. So I'll cover the end of the lap instead. TC, I'd like to think this is going to be somewhere towards the front, unless he invalidates, but keeps it somehow valid, and up to the line it's P2. Amazing what you can do when you extend the track. Of course, that's well within the rules, so he can do that. Fair play.
Yeah, good stuff, that. I wouldn't have tried that, but I guess he's either got very lucky or knows that works. We'll see how many other drivers decide to go that right. Now, Iceman looks to be on a decent lap here. This could be challenging at the front. He is minus 12, and he's kept it valid, but he hasn't kept it on the road. Get to the line, though. You're still got to get the lap done. It is still valid, so you just never know how many invalid laps you can get. But that is a blow to his playoff ambitions.
Coming into this minus 12 tonight. It's a lot of work to do. Ideally, it's a must-win, but you never know. He may just give up and go down the chase route. As we move to Vitino, who is minus 9 behind Pete. Of course, Pete could have a shocker, and Vitino could have just a solid race, get himself up into the top 10. Or what would it be? I think a top 7 would do him if Pete didn't score. That would put Vitino into the playoffs.
It's a nice livery, this, isn't it, for Vitino, as he heads through the last couple of corners. Really getting 2010 Renault vibes off that, which is a good thing, as he comes around that final corner. And where is he going to end up? He goes P6. Not a bad lap. Let's see then. Pete. You see, I'm holding on to crucial bits of information about Pete that we might end up getting very much relevancy later on in the season, because he told me a few little secrets on our little trip to Scotland about how he's going to win this championship, and I'm not ready to deploy that information yet, but he seems very confident. But first, he's got to make it to them playoffs.
Absolutely. He's going to go wide like Iceman did. He keeps it valid and goes third. That's a good lap.
Yeah, that'll
Pete,
be...
of course, gave up a race win here, Owen, don't forget. He let Risky win here in Season 2.
What was that? P20 in the championship, straight into playoffs, and he nearly made it all the way to the championship fight that season, didn't he?
He nearly did.
One of those miraculous
lost out
runs.
by 2 points. And that's all because he spun in Canada.
Yeah, one of those absolutely just ridiculous races around here in Austria. It's why we always come back here. It always throws up a surprise. And speaking of surprises, I wonder if Jamie's over that victory, or at least the way he got it last time out, as he goes up to P2 on the mediums. Decent form continuing for Jamie, who's well, he's through, and he's trying to make himself very much one of the front runners, possibly somebody to watch for the championship fight later on in the season. But a decent lap on mediums. How many more are going to go on him, and is anyone going to be able to beat him on mediums?
Of course, Jamie, the league's newest race winner, as we move to somebody who should win a race, I believe. It's Jordan in the 93 car, running the blue for Sheffield Wednesday once again, and the red for Bournemouth, as he likes to do, in honour of my good self and him being a fan of Sheffield. But P8 for Jordan.
Here is Red Matt next up. Gonna get to see a bit more of his lap. We've seen most of these laps sort of in the middle of the third sectors, but Red Matt's gonna get a little bit more screen time in the yellow and black machine, and we'll see how he gets on. He's been a driver that this season has been possibly a little unlucky with how his results have gone. I think, honestly, he is much better than perhaps some of his results have shown, and we might be able to see some more proof of that tonight and for the rest of the season. But like I say, he is a strong driver, and certainly isn't someone who you'd want to be counting out for the championship. Obviously, you've got your usual suspects, but I have a sneaking suspicion this guy might be right up there at the end of the season. But we'll see how tonight goes as he heads around the final corner. Is this going to be challenging P1? Yes, it is. In fact, it's going to be taking P1. It is the first time in the 1 minute threes, and I imagine we're going to see a lot more laps like that in the closing stages. Our last 4 drivers then are out there on track, and Jake is one of them, and he is on the medium tyres. Remember, Jamie is the fastest driver on mediums at the moment. Is Jake going to be able to challenge his time? Because this could be a really important call. If you say qualify on the top 10 on mediums, you're able to get to the rain period, perhaps having saved a stop on everyone else, and it could make the wet period a lot easier. As for the final corner he comes, can Jake put this well into the top 10? Yes, he can. Decent stuff from Jake. Not quite as quick as Jamie, but he will take that absolutely. Speaking of Jamies, we've got another Jamie on mediums, although this is more of a usual suspect for the alternate compounded tyre. And nearly a spin on the exit of turn 1 for J-Luke, but he's not going to mind that too much. Anytime he's just lost, he's making up on the back of Jake.
Yeah, of course they are ART teammates. As we think about the esports teams championship that we have going on in the background, you tend to forget about it because all the focus is on the drivers primarily in the league. But like you say, what he lost in turn 1, he gained up to turn 2, we're going to call it. J-Luke, season 2 champion, missed out on the championship 5 last season, though, and as we head down towards turn 5 now, not the only driver on the mediums for a change, so the alt strategy, he's going to have to fight everyone else for it this week. What can he do in the third sector around Austria? Back to you.
It looks okay so far, but I mean, if you look at the gaps, you know, it's only a few tenths from sort of, 4th down to 10th. So a little mistake here and there, like turn 1, could cost you a lot of positions. But let's see if Jamie can get into the top 10. Yes, he can. He slots in P5. And
That's
well, the last 2 drivers are out there on the softs, and so they're just simply going for 1 and 2. I suppose these 2 might end up. Arnold first up, and we'll see how he gets on. It looks a decent lap time, but I'm not quite sure it's fastest. We'll see if we can find a quicker final sector. But it's looking a very competitive run for P1, and it's making Yuri's very early time incredibly impressive, as Arnold is going to be starting P20 because he's invalidated the lap. Would it have gone P1? No, it wouldn't. So Arnold's struggling for pace, and he's coming from the back. The man he dominated this race last year, didn't he?
He led 65 out of 71 laps in the Championship 5. As we move to Kyle, championship leader by 3 points coming into this, looking to win his 2nd regular season championship, Owen. As we go into the final turn, Kyle Smith in the 26 car up to the line. Is it going to be P1? It's not. Redman takes another pole.
Yeah, but only about 8/100th of a second to Yuri. Yuri, who of course is just a reserve, and well, he has turned up and he's going to be right in the middle of quite a contested fight. And he'll be going for glory. Simply put, he's not here for anyone else.
He's here for his speed teammates. But I was just going to say, Kyle, crucially, look at where Arnold and Cam are, 18th and 20th. think of that regular season championship, those 12 playoff points.
Absolutely.
That is massive. Massive, providing the race is straightforward.
This is a track where I think in Season 2, Kyle had an absolute shocker. So he's just got to make sure that doesn't happen again tonight. But he does look in a very nice position. Kyle, another driver who perhaps hasn't necessarily been, right up there all the time, looking so good, but a bit like Cam, has been so consistent, because I guess all our attention this season has been a bit on Arnold, hasn't it? Because he's arguably the best in the league, but, well, Kyle's about to try and prove that, no, he's not. And Kyle is going to try and win his second regular season championship, and obviously see if that can propel him on to winning the championship. He only has the best finish in the actual championship 5 of third, believe it or not. We always go on talking about how he lost it on a penalty. That penalty cost him 2 places in the end in the championship 5, and I'm sure he'll be looking for redemption on that. Arnold, one of the drivers who pipped him that day.
Yep, and just a quick note on Red Matt, he's now taken 3 of the last 4 poles in JACKOCAR in the Cup Series. He's certainly turning his season around, coming into form at the right time, I reckon, as we look towards the playoffs. Obviously, he's winning Hungary as well. So, one to watch, definitely.
So, top 10, Red Matt, Yuri, Kyle, Jamie, Jake, and other Jamie. All these 3 have qualified in the top 10 on mediums. They will start on the yellow mark tyres. Then we have Thomas, Pete, Camo, and Kieran round out the top 10. We'll go through the rest on that formation lap, but you can see them all there. And yeah, those 3 on mediums, nice and high up the grid. What sort of starts are they going to get? Could they be a little bit slow off the line? Will that promote some overtaking at the start? Could it cause a bit of drama with some accidents? It's a lovely sunny day, isn't it, Jacko? But from what we've been told, that's not due to last over these 36 laps.
Definitely not, and I'd like to remind you as well, there's no formation lap, so it's going to be straight into this once they've all selected their strategies. Lovely blue skies here in Spielberg. I think they're going to be miserable and grey at the very end. Based on what we've been told, it's Jamie Griffiths and Arnold saying it's going to be dry to wet, and I hope they're right.
I think we all do. I think we all, after the break, need another reminder of just how much fun this league is. As everyone gets ready to go, we will we'll put the tyre information on the screen as we can, but you'll be able to see who's on what and what happens on this start. But it is going to be all about that run to turn 1. Hopefully they've all been reminded, the drivers, that this is just start the race. We're not going to see the pole man go off the line and no one follow him. We're going to hopefully see all 20 cars get off the line. And if Yuri can lead this thing into turn 1, frankly, anything could happen, because that would be something that not a single driver would have considered, I don't think, going into this race. No disrespect to Yuri, but a reserve coming in and doing this, especially, I don't think Yuri's ever won a race in this league, has he? But we'll see if he can maybe change that tonight.
Never.
Here come the lights. Red Rat on pole, Yuri on second. It is speed, 1, 2. And we do get away, and everyone has remembered that we do start on the grid, so good start. No one doing a formation lap, but it looks like a really good start from Red Matt, and we're 3 wide into turn 1 and 2, 3 off the median runners have all come together. Has Jake got away without any damage? I'm checking. He looks okay at the minute, but Red Matt leads the race, and I think it was Jamie colliding, of course, but it was Red Jamie in front of us who went dive up the inside, making it 3 wide. Was that too aggressive for lap 1? As they all head through the hairpin, I'm sure there'll be some things being said about that already from the drivers, but we'll move on, and we'll see Cam has already moved up into 12th place. He's trying to make a move on Iceman as well. He's got to get moving, because Kyle is still up there in 3rd place. Arnold's now into 14th place, and we'll see who all decides to pit at the end of lap 1. Seems a relative 50-50 split on the tyres, but that's not really going to concern Red Matt at the minute, who is pulling away from his speed teammate.
Yeah, and going back to turn 1 there, I'm not quite sure if it was Jake or Jamie who threw it down the inside. 3 into 1 certainly didn't go, and that's why you saw both the Jamies spinning off. Deck has not made too much of an impression, our Joker driver down in P16, as OKK goes for an early pit stop, Owen.
Yeah, a few cars had to duck and dive out of the way, but it is only 1 car pitting at the end of this first lap, and it's going to be for a new front wing. There's no real other reason to pit on the first lap here, And we'll see OKK, see what he can do from here. He'll be hoping for a safety car. There's plenty of slots for them, as we've seen many times this season. I would not expect for 1 minute for this race to be in a simple no safety car affair, as Red Matt pulls away to way over a second now. So Kyle is going to have that pretty simple, you'd think, task when DRS is enabled on the next lap of simply pulling past Yuri and getting all of his afternoon, because at the moment it all looks like it's going to be going plain sailing. Again, no guarantees on that.
It never is. It's never simple, is it? Just trying to see if anybody else has made an impressive start. I see other Ben, as we referred to him as, up in P6. It's a good start for him. And Camo Babo holding his own in P7. And the two guys that are fighting for that final playoff spot, Pete and Vitino, right next to each other on track. Ooh, followed by Iceman, who's also fighting them.
Looks like Deck might already be abandoning his Joker strategy. He's into the pit lane way too early for that, so it must be a new front wing. He's onto the medium compound tyre though, so at the very least it might end up being good when the rain comes later on. Might have to worry about no more pit stops, but will he get overtaken by OKK? Might well do so.
Yep. So
he'll fall to the back of the grid. Arnold is on the back of this train, just behind Cam. They're both on mediums, both trying to make their way through. We'll have to keep our eye on this as Yuri and Kyle go side by side through 6 or 5, whatever really Jack wants to call it, as they head through towards the final 2 sweepers. And we'll see maybe if Jake can get involved as well on these medium compound tyres. They might not be as fast, but they shouldn't be degrading anywhere near as quickly. And this could get into a pretty fun scrap, because Thomas is also in this. Camo Babo falling behind a little bit, but is ahead of Ben, and that's going to get very heated towards turn 1. But I want to keep my eye on Kyle, and you'll see the yellow flag pop up when anything happens behind, because I know it's looking all very side by side, but any one of these 3 could end up ahead in second place, and indeed the yellow flags are out. And who's going to get ahead here? As we have Yuri on the inside of Kyle, he's got Jake trying to pass him as well, and it is Kyle from Yuri, from Jake, and it was other Ben and Pete who went off, so that's going to have some challenging
Yuri
implications.
coming back down the inside of Kyle here.
Yuri does go up the inside, not being massively aggressive, definitely staying well clear of any contact, but we'll see how they go side by side once again on this section of the track where Yuri was on the inside last time, gets ahead this time on the outside, not able to do so. Jake just sits back, doesn't let anything happen, he doesn't let Thomas come at him, and well, they will fight for another lap. But that is bad news for Arnold as well, who's fallen down. So it's Ben, it's Pete, it's Arnold, who all had incidents there. And Kyle straight into the pit lane. That is quite an early call, that one. I wonder if there was any. I don't think there was any contact, but you never know in this game. But
I think it might be a bit of strategy. Just get out of that train, out of that fight, straight onto. Oh, Jake just went up the back of Yuri, but no damage. But yeah, a bit of strategy from Kyle. Get out the train, get yourself on the mediums, and then run until the rain comes later on. Jake makes the move up into P2 as Redmat's lead is now 2.5 seconds. He's got it under control for now.
Thomas had a chance but didn't quite make it stick on the inside of 3. We'll see how he keeps going later on. The 2 Jamies are still going for it after the lap 1 contact, and they're fighting now over 12th and 13th, taking over those places that Cam and Arnold once held before all those dramas went on. Pete's now sitting at the very back, having changed his front wing. I'd assume he's quite a way back actually from other cars as well. It's really not an ideal situation to be in. Kyle though has just cleared Jets and has 8.6 seconds of clean air in front of him, so it should be a decent undercut. Will Redmat respond? Yes he will. Jake then on those mediums will lead the race, and he'll almost certainly be picking up some playoff points as well. Lap 9 and 18. Yeah. For our points, and he's set the fastest lap 2. Camo Babo runs second, Jordan third. That's our podium sitters at the moment. Now, if you're on mediums, I imagine you'll be going to try and reach the rain on this set. And so we'll see how that pans out as Vitino moves up into 3rd place, passing Jordan, who's got Iceman diving up his inside, and he's now moved up into 4th position and puts Jordan wide. So that'll put K in up position as well. Cam is on the back of this too, and it's all sort of heating up in that middle part of the track. As we see, I believe Vitino well clear enough, so he'll try and now chase out the Camu Babu, who, like I say, maybe doesn't have the best pace in the early stages of this race. You'll have noticed that Kyle is only 1.4 off Red Mat, so he has made a little bit of time up. Yuri's nowhere, and Thomas will be trying to catch him. Has a buffer of Jess, who was struggling for pace a little bit, so those guys should break away a little bit. But yeah, the early stages of strategy underway. Still very much blue skies though everywhere, isn't it, Jacko?
Certainly for the moment, but you know how quickly this game can change. You know, it just suddenly clicks, don't it? It's so obvious when it happens in a Codemasters F1 game, as Camo Babo pits now. Unfortunately, Owen, you took the words out of my mouth once again. I was going to say Kyle come out 1.4 seconds behind Red Mat, but you covered it, so never mind. As we begin lap 7, and Jess gets overtaken by Arnaud.
And Iceman does clear Vitino, so it's mediums 1 and 2 now, with Jake having a 5-second advantage over Iceman. Remember, Jake is already through into the playoffs, so doesn't necessarily need the victory, but does look pretty good in the early stages, unless of course he has to pit before the rain arrives. All this is based on our assumptions, by the way, what's going to happen. We haven't actually physically seen the weather forecast, so we're just sort of going based off what the tyre choices on the grid were and in qualifying. So if we're wrong...
We'll be gutted if there's no rain.
Yeah, no, we were real awkward. We'll be here on lap 30 still waiting for it, won't we? But hopefully our sources were accurate. They had no reason to lie to us. I hope. I hope we haven't done anything to them. But, yeah, we'll see what happens. Meanwhile, looks like Kieran is trying to be the lead soft runner as he catches up to the back of Vitino and has got DRS, but of course so does Vitino. And that'll continue all the way up until turn 3 as well. Will there be any dive bombs up the inside? Kieran, who's probably still desperate for that victory after what happened in Japan, trying his best to get himself up the field as Iceman nearly loses it on the exit of 3. The two Jamies are still scrapping away. Now it's Williams Jamie up in front of Red Jamie. Very confusing, isn't it? As Arnaud and Camu Babu go for it. Arnaud only up in 14th. Although, in fairness, he has made the one stop, hasn't he, Arnaud? And that actually has provided him with a nice undercut, because he's now 5th on the road in terms of people who've stopped, as Thomas does get ahead of Yuri now. Will this fight continue on to the next corner, or will Yuri just back off? He will just back off. But yeah, Arnaud is playing himself quietly into position at the moment, in fairness to him. So yeah, he had to pit. Probably didn't want to, but he is still on the right tyre, we think.
So it's more about where Cam is at the moment. Currently stuck in that soft tyre chain, or train I should say, as he comes out of turn 1, has the DRS on Jordan, but then again it's much the same all the way up to the back of Iceman, who is very much the cork in the bottle. Vitino doesn't want to go for a move as they concertina up. 3-second penalty for Arnaud. Flashes of the Championship 5 last season come flooding back.
Looks like Yuri and Thomas are still fighting away as well. Yuri repassing Thomas, and Thomas repassing Yuri. It's going back and forth all the way through this lap so far, as they continue to go side by side down towards turn 4. Yuri does have the line into the corner, and Thomas doesn't quite have an exit, but certainly is still fighting away. It is all, of course, though, helping Kyle pull nicely clear. He isn't quite able to keep up with Red Mat, but again, he doesn't really have to, as we have our first incident, or first yellow flag anyway, as we see Pete facing the wrong way. Kieran's in the pit lane, and he's been disqualified for blocking it, and that means he's going into the chase next thing. He hasn't got a front wing. So has there actually been an accident on the way in? Because I thought there was someone else in. Vitino was in the pit as well. Was there a potential collision there as Cam takes full advantage and he's now up into 3rd position? So whatever's been going on there, it's led to Kieran presumably facing, what, the wrong way, perhaps on the way into the pit lane. And
I imagine so.
Well, it's led to his disqualification. He will be taking part then in the chase for the rest of the season. That's that absolutely confirmed. And it was Pete facing the wrong way, who's also possibly looking at a chase campaign as well at this rate. But we'll see how it all pans out later on. Vitino, though, seemed to get his pit stop done with no real issues, so if he was involved, he didn't get any damage from it in the first instance of contact, if there was any. But I know that Kieran did not have a front wing. That's all I saw.
Kieran, as you say, 100% going to the chase next season. Jake did win stage 1. That was his 5th playoff point of the season. And yeah, Vitino just a few points away from overtaking Pete and getting himself into the playoff positions. Still got a bit more work to do, but there's still a few more drivers who have to pit for the moment. Red Matt overtakes Jordan, and again Jordan did pit. I did miss that. The gap between Red Matt and Kyle is extended. I think Red Matt, if it stays dry, he's got this one in hand, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Jamie gets past Waze.
He does look good, doesn't he? Red Man, let's say, definitely holding the pace nicely. And I think
He's the laps leader as well, isn't he? He's led the most laps this season, has Red Matt.
And I think Arnold's just tried to pass Yuri, who might have had a little tap on the back of Thomas. And he's still trying to get by Yuri. Arnold, is he going to just try and pull the undercut of all undercuts through one of these corners when they eventually go side by side and he just nicks in between? Because it's the type of thing that Arnold would do, isn't it? But he is.
He's not afraid to have contact with other drivers. We know that.
Oh, look at
Certainly
this!
all throughout this season.
Side by side through 9.
Oh, Arnold's going to go for a spin and saves it.
Ooh.
He got loose, but picked it up.
Good news for...
Yellow flags out.
Oh! Is that Jake? It is Jake. He's gone off the road. So Iceman leads the race. And that is that hitting the inside curve at turn 1. Certainly my usual suspect for mistakes. But the race leader has recovered. He's now back in 3rd. Obviously he's already through, so a win isn't vital for him, but still you don't want to be making mistakes because it costs you playoff points.
Well, I say he did pick up the first stage, so you know that may well be his last playoff point in the regular season. You can still pick him up in the postseason, but they do get added to your race totals, so you don't see them quite so obviously. Iceman looks like he's on his way to leading his first lap this season. Who would have thought that, coming off the back of an amazing Championship 5 appearance in Season 2, a couple of podiums in Season 3, but it's just not quite gone his way.
Yeah, but what
as he comes around to complete the final turn, yeah.
What a time to lead your first laps of the season. And if the rain comes at the right time, we're now 1/3 of the way through this race already. So the rain has to be on its way soon, you'd imagine. As a yellow flag, and is it... who is this? Is it Wace? Has he got any damage? He's just been in the pits, has Wace. And he's now on his way back in with front wing damage. And Jake has just got by Cam. And Jamie and Jamie are catching this. And Cam... What's happened here?
Cam's struggling.
Yeah, he's really struggling. He hasn't got a puncture or anything, but is there any front wing damage, or is he just a bit flustered at the moment? He doesn't need to take many risks. He's already through into the playoffs, but he does want to win the regular season, but making a mistake like that's not really going to help. It will calm Iceman's nerves, I'd imagine. Gives him a little bit more of a buffer, because like I say, if he can win this race, he'd be straight through into the playoffs, obviously. By winning the race, that gives you a free ticket. But yeah, that'll be very well timed, and it seems a lot of the quick guys out there are making the mistakes, and so I guess it is up to someone like Iceman to take advantage when it happens, as Cam and Jamie pit off mediums, and so that would suggest that possibly maybe they're only going to try and make one stop when the rain comes and go intermediate. Perhaps heavy rain won't need full wet, but we'll see. There shouldn't be any jumping going on in those pits, but we'll see where Cam, after those mistakes, ends up coming out. This does make Red Mat's racing a lot more useful, doesn't it? Because I was expecting these guys to stay a bit longer. Perhaps that top 3 will stay out a bit longer, but it is still blue skies out there. So that is possibly why they're thinking of pitting now. But the tyres should do more than enough of the distance, right?
I'd like to think so. I was just going to say, 2 of the 3 cut-off races that we've had here, Owen, they've resulted in clutch wins. Obviously, the one I mentioned earlier with Risky, when he Pete let him pass for the win, and the other one was last season when Corey, from 13th position in the standings, come through and won the race, putting himself into the playoffs. So it's the kind of track where
Jamie's gone off. Jamie's been off.
He pits.
And another one. Who is that? Is that OKK? So that's 2 cars going off on that lap. Jamie must have got it wrong on the way into the pit lane, And,
Oh, okay,
well, you
his
can see
tyres are
OKK.
absolutely gone.
Yeah, he's ruined his tyres. Just got to be careful of
Don't.
Pete because there's no ghosting.
Oh,
And they very nearly collided. And,
that would have been a massive crash if they'd hit.
yeah, that would have been a certain safety car. As it happens, they've got away, or have they?
Oh,
Because now, look out, because the fight for the lead's going to be coming for here in a minute, OKK. Because it is only 0.6% between Jake and Iceman. And I'm going to be keeping my eye on board with Iceman. There you can see OKK well the road, but he is trying to get back on. He'll be coming back on, possibly in front of Redmat. And those tyres are still messed up, especially having been through another gravel trap. Redmat's going to really want to be on his toes here, especially as he sees OKK running off the road. And, well, he's a must-win tonight, and it's not going to happen. Absolutely not going to happen now for OKK.
not now.
Just ruining his race. And he can't recover back on. You can... Oh, Jamie's gone again. What's happening here? They're just starting to spin. And too many cars off the road could cause safety cars. So it is a genuine worry. But we are green flags again now, as OKK does make it to the pit lane, so we can focus on the fight for P1 on the road. Arnaud...
Arnaud gets past Kyle.
Yeah, he's through then into 4th position, only 2.8 off our net race leader, effectively in Redmat, assuming that the rain's not going to come in time for these guys that are already on the mediums from 15 laps to do anything. But here comes Kyle anyway, back on the inside. Look out for Thomas, who's getting involved in this as well. All this could, if those top two pit, be for a net 2nd place. And Campbell's sorry to interrupt, he's fighting away with Yuri as well, and he's catching up to that fight as well. So it's all getting quite tight, whether it be at the front or it be for net podium positions. But it's very interesting indeed what's going on around here. Actually, ironically, we're not actually quite getting those safety cars I was expecting, but we don't really need them at the minute. This is a very much entertaining race anyway.
Oh, now it's going to make a move into turn 1 here. No, he's not. He's going to wait up until turn 2.
Jake
I was going to
leads.
say, if Arnaud wants to win the regular season championship, he needs to find 3 positions on Kyle. So he'd need to be P2 with Kyle down in 5th. As he gets up, but Kyle's going to come back, leaves them very little room. These two have a lot of history this season already. Look at Thomas trying to come through on the inside now. Has a bit of a moment, but recovers it nicely. Kyle with the DRS on Arnaud. Will he go for another dive into turn 3? Not this time around. And he's going to hit in the back of Arnaud. No damage. Gets away with it.
Could be bright yellow damage or bright green damage. You know, it's sometimes not visual, but a contact like that could ruin your race. As Jake, like I said, had taken the lead. He's now pulling away to out of DRS, I think, of Iceman. Is Iceman actually on his way into the pit lane? Yes, he is. So he's going to try and undercut.
Recovery from Jake as well.
Oh! Yuri's gone. Yuri's gone as well. He's going to try and recover himself back onto the road. There should be no traffic coming through, though, to worry about. What on earth is happening today with these spins? Lucky it's Austria to doing this and not, I don't know, Monaco or something, because we'd have safety cars galore. But as it, oh, another one.
Yellow flags.
Jamie as well. Another one is third trip off the road today. And a race that looks quite promising actually is disastrously, just disastrous.
I've never known a race with so many drivers spinning off.
I have. Oh, he's gone again.
Jamie's gone again. Look at that.
Let's say Max
Verstappen style.
It's shades of Japan, the closing laps of Japan, where they all spun off. Didn't rain or anything, he just thought, I don't know what, I'm going to start spinning now for a bit of fun.
Jamie's given up.
Yeah, well, our second retirement of the day then.
Second stage point is going to go to Jake. This is his 6th playoff point of the season. That is massive. Going into the playoff phase of the season.
Well recovered.
Can he
as
win
well
this race?
Surely not. Don't see why not. If he's got the pace, he's recovered from that spin earlier on to catch up and pass, get back into the lead of the race. So is there Jamie going out of the pits? He doesn't ghost, does he? These guys just have to be a little bit careful when they come out of turn 1. Shouldn't be a problem though. As Kyle just lifting and coasting and crashing into the back of Arnaud again. He probably should think of passing him if he keeps bumping into the back of him like this. He seems quicker.
He probably should think of the long game as well. You know, it's 12 playoff points at stake here. And Arnold, like I say, needs to make 3 positions. And don't forget, Arnold has a penalty as well. So it's very much in Kyle's hands. Cam seems to be out of the picture down in P10 at the moment. And going back to Jake, he cannot win this race currently because he has not yet made even 1 stop, whereas everybody else has at least done that.
So he is seemingly playing the long game, isn't he, for Rain? But there's
I
still,
think he just wants his name up on the most laps led leaderboard.
There are some grey clouds starting to emerge, but it's very sort of not significant yet. You know, it could even just be blue sky that looks grey. I might be trying to see things, but it's certainly more cloudy than it was earlier on. So the rain is on its way, but not at the minute. It's not going to be here on the next lap, you know. But he has got 6.4 seconds to play, so if the tires do start to fall off, it's not like red mats are in great condition either, you know. So he should still be able to lead for as long as he can.
Just looking at the battle for P7 at the moment. Jordan, Vitino and Jamie.
I tell you what, Iceman's going to be catching this as well because he's trying to get by Cam, obviously on new tyres, is Iceman. Looking to try and get himself up there as Jamie tries to get by Vitino. Does he manage it? Tight through there, but Vitino's left in the room, and Jamie up into 8th place. And Jake continued on to lap 21. Still not pitting. And, well, sun's starting to disappear a little tad in the final sector. Just a little hint of dullness as the blue sky. You can see the clouds are coming in on the way up to turn 1, because you can see the mountains are starting to become a bit ghost-like, aren't they, because of the clouds just covering everything. And that is exactly what Jake is looking for, because the rain it is now on its way. You can see, as Jacko says, just how quickly it changes, and the track is now very much become ready for rain.
Jamie's made a move on Jordan. What a move!
And Vitino's giving
recovery drive.
A little tap on the way through there as well, as Jamie pushes on, and he'll be pushing like hell, because he probably realises now that he can do whatever he wants to those tires, because he won't be on them for much longer.
They're also looking at the gap. Red Mat is closing in on Jake, so I think it's got to be the right time to pit, hasn't it? Surely. What will Jake do? He stays out another lap.
Well, he's going to have to go for the rain. You can't pit for the rain. It's not actually raining yet. And the thing he's got to worry about, though, is, well, we were promised heavy rain. He's going to need to hope that this rain that's falling now not only puts him on intermediate, but puts him onto full wet, and that is easier said than done. So it is a big gamble. You might be sitting there thinking, now, this has worked. Wow, what a strategy. But he has to make sure he can make the 2 stops.
The rain's here. It's raining. It's raining.
Yep. He's got to make sure that he, 1, picks the right times to pit, and 2, hopes that second stop, I suppose, is for full wet, and that everyone else needs a bit for safe full wet. This is the time to make your last DRS moves, because of course when it rains heavy enough, the DRS is disabled. So perhaps expect a little bit of action on these last couple of laps of dry running before we enter the wilderness, as Kyle continues to tease the back of Arnaud's car. And I'm sure every time he sees that lime green car coming, he's probably wincing a little bit. But somehow those two haven't ended up in an accident yet.
Yeah, there's still 14 laps for them to achieve it. Just keeping an eye on, Jake, another lap, and right to do so. It's too early for wets. But he's got to make 2 stops, don't forget. Everyone else only has to make 1, and that gap, Red Mat is closing it, under 5 seconds now.
The first sort of danger point's got to come in the quicker sort of turn 9, really, and turn 1, I suppose, as well. Just if you're looking for cars spinning off, because there's been plenty of this already today. And if anyone's going for any desperate moves, like, I don't know, let's say Kyle, then this is going to be where accidents get involved. But again, Kyle's not doing it. Lad, your DRS won't be here in a couple of laps. You've got to make the moves work. Because this
Kyle
is
needs to...
still for that championship, you know, that regular season championship.
He also needs to think about the esports as well, because this is a great day out for ERT at the moment.
We've got a casualty. It's okay, Kate. Facing the wrong way, but he gets himself facing the right way. And, well, he's getting used to this now, isn't he? Poor guy. But still going at very least, because obviously you get points all the way down the field as long as you finish. But, yeah, are we going to see any pitters as we see him go off again? Hasn't hit anything, I don't think. He's just spinning off. But anyone going
comes
to
the race
think
leader.
about a pit stop? As the race leaders all head through, no one is pitting yet. So we look back then to Kyle, who's not close enough to R9 to think about making an overtake. Is his last chance to move possibly disappearing here? I'm wondering if he's maybe just... Yeah, he's hit him again. And finally, it is a bit of an incident this time, and I wonder if Thomas will just try and pass him now, because he's been asking for this one, Kyle, hasn't he? Will Thomas try and make a move? This could be his last chance of DRS in this race, but decides not to do so. Kyle doesn't appear to have any front wing damage again. All he did was have that contact and then slide about a little bit. That's the bigger problem he had with that contact. Pitter, it is Pete. Is he the first one under intermediates? Might well be so. Now let's have a look. Just a little peek.
Is it a dream call for Pete?
Because I'll tell you what, the race leader has stayed out, but this is a strategic call, not a front wing call. And all these leading guys are still out there. And it's, well, it's getting a little bit tight this now, isn't it, with that crossover point. Thomas will be happy about this though, because it means he has a little bit more DRS to play with as he fights for 4th position. And surely he has Kyle no problem now. Yes, he does. He's up into 4th position. A really strong performance so far for Thomas. And well, if Jake's strategy falls through, there could still be a podium in this for him today. But we'll see how this all pans out, because we are actually, let's be honest, in the closing stages of the race.
We are. And I was just going to point out as well, the battle between Vitino and Pete. Vitino needs to make 2 more positions on Pete, or needs Pete to retire. As it stands, he is still going to the chase and not the playoffs.
What's happened here? Who's causing the yellow flag? I'm not seeing any obvious calls for it, actually. So I guess we move on. Are we going to see the race leader pit? No! I'm surprised he's not pitted, Jake. Red Map 2 stays out. Arnold has spun! He was going to pit, but he spun! And Kyle had to avoid him. I thought he was going to pit. He decided against it. And that is, well, are you allowed to pit through that avenue? What do you think, Jacko? Cutting across the track to pit? As Arnold's just done.
I sadly missed it.
Oh no, our lobby's breaking. This is not the time, people. Not the time to be driving backwards down the pit lane. I really hope this fixes itself.
I missed it, Owen, but we did once penalise a driver for doing that.
Yuri, what have you done, lad? You don't leave the session and cause chaos, my friend. This just, you should be kicked from the league for this, in my opinion.
Pete's retired.
Has he?
Pete has retired.
Oh, well, this is Yuri breaking the stream, unfortunately. Hopefully this all updates itself at the start of the next lap. But for now, we've got a broken lobby to watch, unfortunately, but we'll keep going. Surely Jake will think of pitting now, will he? Because he has to make 2 stops, and he is pitting. So Jake pits. Red Mat stays out. Oh, wow. And we have a yellow flag in the last sector as well. The safety car's spazzing out. Is it coming out? Not too sure what I'm watching. Because we've lost Ben, and he's crashed on the main straight. It is now a safety car, and this means that Jake pitting, he hasn't lost him much time. Assuming the game will let us see what's happening here. I want to know where he comes back out.
Owen,
and Arnold,
it's a dream.
Unfortunately,
it's a dream for Jake. He's pitted. He puts himself back on the one-stop strategy.
Look, he's pitted for dries, though. This is clever, potentially, for Jake. So he doesn't think it's going to go to full wet. So why not just pit for the dries and then just make your other stop for the intermediates?
Yeah,
okay.
But he's now on the same strategy as everybody else that he's racing.
Yeah.
So Arnold is the net race leader, believe it or not, after that spin. But Jake isn't going to miss out with the top 9 because he's with him. He's on the same strategy.
Unfortunately, Arnold might well have taken quite a nice advantage out of his spin. As per usual, he gets the luck of the draw here. He really just doesn't deserve it at this point. But, well.
But as I was saying, he was not him, but a driver was once penalised for doing the wrong pit entry at Austria. So
I'm sure we have an excuse that he was on the right way, and he was on the right way, but then he spun and cut back across. So
yeah, we'll have to look at it. But
yeah, that'll be the debate, I guess, that the stewards will be having. But this safety car does sort of throw the cat amongst the pigeons a little bit, because obviously it leaves the top guys at the front still needing a second stop. but arguably the track's not quite ready for intermediates yet, so it is not imperative that they're in. They could pull away on the restart. It's very similar to the situation we did have, actually, in One Hub Racing, except it's the opposite way round, I think. Because in One Hub it was intermediates, do you stay on them or do you pit? And these are the guys staying on them, all of the top 9. But if you're on the new tyres, will they get up to speed quickly enough to make the gamble worth it? And that's what we'll have to answer the question today. Remember, you cannot pit on the lap that the safety car comes in. You have to wait a full green flag lap, and with so little time to go in the race, RC has been told he can go through the safety car there because he... No? Okay.
Nope, definitely not.
Odd decision making from him, that's okay. But yeah, like I say, you can't pit on the safety car restart lap, so that's something that these guys at the front are going to have to contend with. If the tyres do start to fall apart, they're going to know about it if they're on mediums. Old mediums, they're going to be frozen solid on that restart. And this is where this race can get thrown into chaos. But the safety car is not going to be coming in until probably the next lap. And I do apologise that we didn't really catch much of the incidents that caused that safety car on stream, because Yuri left the session, and as you might have noticed, it caused a lot of driving backwards down the pit lane. And a lot of pretty much I can't follow what's going on. So yeah, hopefully that doesn't happen again. But yeah, we're just waiting then for Deck. Hurry up! Don't want to waste another lap of safety car. But yeah, hopefully he'll catch up and we'll be able to get underway once again. I mean, he looks okay on intermediates. In fairness, the engines might be okay, but it's just about the tyre warmth on the restart. If any guys on the dry tyres end up going for some spins, well, I suppose the intermediate drivers, Arnold will be the first in line to crash into one of them. And it would be about time his luck didn't help. How many times has he had incidents that have been then instantly followed up by a bailout?
I've lost count.
It's actually unbelievable at this point, isn't it?
It is. I'm also looking at Arnold. How much of a team player is he? You know, if the Inter is the right tyre, would he let teammate Camo Babo through for his first win in the Cup Series? The third most experienced driver in this tier?
Well, it might be a strategically good idea, wouldn't it? To have one
because it puts Camo into the playoffs. One
slower driver into the playoffs. Obviously, we saw this famously employed tactic, maybe slightly unintentionally, but as it turned out, quite clever, to let Paul McGuinness win a race in Hungary last season. No offence to Paul, but he wasn't really the quickest driver that season, so it meant one driver that was pretty much guaranteed not to win the championship in the playoffs. And so I suppose that could be something that Arnold would be thinking about. As a track, by the way, does seem to be ready for intermediates, and I tell you what, these guys in the softs and the mediums, Deck didn't catch up, and so we're going for one more lap, and I think they'll be a bit worried about this restart lap. Obviously, as viewers, you'll be looking forward to this massively, but yeah, the Austria drama looks to be hitting us again. And just to confirm, Ben's accident was caused by the lobby glitch, because he found in front of him Iceman's car, or was that Pete's car? It was Pete's car parked in the middle of the road. I think we saw this on stream. And so he crashed into a car that just magically appeared on the main street. You saw it all happening. And that is all, I believe, as a result of Yuri's disconnect, which caused the whole lobby to be flipped into carnage. And so that might even be the reason for Pete's DNF, Jacko. It might actually be that Ben and Pete have collided on the main... Well, no, that is what's happened. They've collided on the main straight because the game...
They retired at different times, that's the thing.
Okay. Well, either way,
speaking of Pete,
his car's been put in there and he's been blown up by Ben. So that's a real shame, that.
Yeah. And speaking of Pete, with his retirement, Vitino is now 1 position and 1 point behind the cut line. Of course, if he ties with him, it is wrong tyres, and if he ties with him, it would come down to count back. So it's still wide open who gets that final playoff point, final playoff place. Iceman, he's out of it, surely.
It's also wide open as to who makes it through this lap. Red Matt on 23 lap old mediums, Thomas on 23 lap old mediums, Kyle on 24 lap old mediums. Not really the best condition. Look at the spray. They're just not going to make it through this lap. But let's
Oh,
see.
they're already crashing in the background. That's Iceman gone.
And you know why that is? It's because Red Matt went way too late. He didn't know where the start finish line was, and Thomas leads this race. But I'm telling you, the carnage is already beginning because these guys were not going to have any grip. And you can see Arnold's already effectively in second position because these guys are just going to skate off the road. And it's inevitable, isn't it? Oh, Arnold's going to lose it himself! And he's almost been taken out. Oh, and who's that? Is that Thomas gone off? And
Thomas and Kyle.
Arnold does lead the race. He has survived. Who else is surviving? It's sort of hard to tell, isn't it? But there's all sorts of crashing going on. Kyle was involved. That effectively hands the the title to Arnold, doesn't it? Unless Cam, although he is on the wrong tyre, so he's not going to do it either. A lot of front wings are going missing as well in this restart lap. And look at Deck in second place, net second place. It could come down to penalties, but the Joker driver, okay, not on the Joker strategy, could somehow find himself winning this race. Yeah, playoff spot is on the line here. He's got more penalties than Arnold. He should really get playoffs anyway if he finishes second, in all fairness. Camo Babo, as you mentioned, has a chance. He's only on 3 seconds of penalties, and so it'll be interesting to see what happens there. But all the pitters are in. Jake was the first one of the dry tyre runners to make it to the pits, so that's at least some recompense for him, because look at the amount of drivers in the pit lane. Quite a lot, if not the whole field, have actually pitted again. And so at least only the top 3 remaining, and that pretty much guarantees all those 3 podium positions, if they can just keep going. And Jess, it's a shame she's a lap down, because she would have actually been on for some more podium heroics, potentially, but not with that performance, unfortunately, a lap down. Thomas is taking a new front wing, a few new front wings out there. Kyle as well with a new front wing. Or a penalty, just, sorry, he's either way going to be at the back. So Jake comes out of the pits. His strategy has actually worked in the end, hasn't it? He's ended up
amazing
4th place. I don't think he would have expected that. But, yeah, that's an interesting podium then. And, obviously, Camo must win, right? So even if he finishes 3rd, he's not going to get through to the playoffs, is he?
No, he needs to win the race. His points deficit is too bad to actually affect anything. He needs to win.
Same with Deck then. So Arnold once again is spoiling the party.
Yes. Ooh.
How dare you make it through the carnage like a good driver would? Unbelievable. How dare you be a deserving champion as well?
I must admit, I was focusing on other drivers at the time. Did he cause the carnage, or did he just get through the carnage?
I think he just got through the carnage by the looks of it.
Fair play, because it was like dry tyre runners in front of all the wet ones, so it was always going to be a little bit messy in a heavy braking zone.
Yes.
Now he just has to hold on for 4 more laps, and Arnold will get only his second win of the season. Some would argue it's 4. The stats will tell you it's 2.
What sort of a penalty would you get for an incorrect pit entry?
I'm just trying to remember what the one was we did a couple seasons ago.
Because I'm sure
5 seconds.
Yeah, I was going to say, it sure will make a difference in the end. You're making the gap anyway, so even if there was a call for a penalty, I don't think it'd really be heeded by any race-changing results. That's okay, he lets everybody through. That's what the yellow flag was for. And well, it is meant to hit heavy rain, but it doesn't appear to be doing so, so it might have just been light rain and these guys can't read. Either that, or we're about to get a proper downpour in this last couple of laps, which could still shake the order up once more. But I don't even think a massively heavy rainstorm would cause these guys to start spinning off and crashing again. But you never know. Free to go.
Tell you what else is going to hurt Kyle is the fact that Cam is P6, so Kyle's going to go from 1st to 3rd in the regular season championship. That's not what he needed.
Yeah, mind you, as I said before, it's not like it's the first time he's ended up finishing 3rd. Maybe it'll be the reverse this time. Finishes 3rd in the regular season, wins the championship.
Wins the title.
Could be a bit of reverse psychology going on there. As Iceman pits, that effectively, is that going to pretty much end his hopes, isn't it, of getting through to the playoffs with it? Or is he going to be alright?
He's well out. He needs to make up 12 points, and down in 12th he's only going to get 5. But Vitino is currently going to earn 10, which puts him +1 ahead of Pete. So Pete is going to the chase as it stands.
Indeed. Although, saying that, Vitino isn't under a little bit of pressure from Jordan. There could be some action there. But I think either way, he's looking pretty decent, isn't he? Rain is getting heavier, by the way, so well, perhaps we might get the heavy rain, but it's certainly not going to need another pit stop. If it gets too heavy and people start making mistakes, that's when it'll be getting interesting.
If it comes to count back, by the way, Pete would advance based on his higher finishing result of P3, which he got in Hungary.
And that would, how much would that need then? Would that need a Jordan overtake?
A Jordan overtake on Vitino puts Pete in the playoffs. If Vitino holds position, it's Vitino in the playoffs.
Well, we know what fight we're watching then for the last 2 laps, because the rain is getting very heavy indeed. And it just, you know, a little slide here or there could change this for Vitino. And he would have to go through the whole chase campaign and win the chase, which is, it's easier said than done, isn't it? But let's see how it all goes. One missed braking point, like I say, really could throw this all into chaos, but let's see. Jordan obviously has no DRS, but he has got more ERS to fight with. He, though, probably won't be quite aware of what would happen if he overtook Vitino, so he might just be happy to take the P7. But we'll see what happens. Or
of course, these drivers have no idea. There's so many maths to do and permutations that change everything, with drivers retiring, some that are low down but still score points. It's so hard to work out on the go. It's a bit easier for us, but certainly if Vitino stays there, that is a playoff spot. Iceman is not making it. Pete currently is not making it. As we begin the final lap on out in front, but Jordan's very close to the back of Vitino in turn 9.
There's a few transponder problems, unfortunately. That's going to mess your order up a little bit, is it? Is everyone's name just going to drop down the leaderboard and then bounce back up again? Look at the exit Jordan's had.
Oh, that's an amazing exit.
This could change everything.
Vitino's season.
Yeah. Ignore the order change. I think it will correct itself in a minute. But round the outside goes Jordan. That's a very committed move. But there's contact. And look at the exit. It's a good enough exit for Jordan. And that is going to be Pete punching the air as there's an accident going on in the background. And possibly further ahead as well. The checkered flag is out. And there's no checkered flag beside his name, but I can tell you that Arnold has won the race. Deck will be second. I don't think the penalties are going to make a difference here. Camo will be third. And I do apologise for all that's happening here. Camo's second? Is he second now?
He's third. On my screen, anyway.
Yeah, I think you're going to have to get the results here.
Fourth.
Yeah, okay. You're going to have to get the results. Mine is absolutely wrong. Apparently Camo's won the race now on my screen.
Well, Jordan's going to come home P7. Vitino is going to hold off J-Luke for P8 and P9. Thomas, he was leading the race on the restart, is P10. Yuri's car, who's not actually here, is P11. Kyle goes for a spin on the final lap. That will give Iceman a space. Oh. Just about checks up.
Well, there you go. That's the heavy rain for you. The standing puddles there certainly making themselves known. Is he going to get round the end of the lap? He'll finish 13th unless he, well, even if he crashes now, I think he'd still finish 13th. But yeah, disappointing day for him.
Oh, Iceman! Has he saved it? He has.
Oh,
just
hold up, Kyle. You might have a position here coming for you. Hey.
He gives it to him anyway. Look at that.
Deck's car avoids. Nicely done. I think the only thing that would complete this now would be the game completely crashing on me, because the order I'm still not convinced is the actual order, because all the gaps are still changing in real time, which makes a lot of sense to me. And Camo's just
I think it's just
Jake's
we're just waiting for Jess now.
Oh, Red Mat's winning the race. Red Mat's won the race. Well done. Ah, there you go. There's the results coming up on the screen. Took its time, but there we go. It's Arnold from Deck, Camo, Red Mat, Jake, Cam, Jordan, Vitino, Jamie, Thomas, Yuri, Kyle, Iceman, Jess, and OKK. Is the race over yet? Or is OKK holding us all up? What's happening here? Surely the race is over, isn't it?
Well,
is it over?
I think so.
Yeah, virtual safety cars out now. What the hell's going on?
Well, OKK's still on lap
OKK's
35.
yeah, OKK's just crashing, isn't he? Is this all still based on? He's just spun under virtual safety car, but like, is this all just based on what happened to Yuri earlier on, where it caused the lobby to break? Because the race is over. I'm sure Arnold's on lap 38 or something now. You know, it's like it's over. OKK, I'm begging you, just finish the flipping race. Although I'm sure he probably is finished the race. Well, he isn't clearly because he's still driving. But like, what even brought the virtual safety car out?
Down.
Yeah,
I don't know. He was 2 laps down, so he should have finished.
You're not meant to finish all those laps. That's not how it works. There's a missing front wing for Camu Babu. That might be what brought the virtual safety car out. But he's been overtaken. What the hell is going on?
OKK's getting spun, and there's a TNF.
Big accident. And the race is still going on. Apparently, someone else, Jamie's in the pits. He's back in the race. Have we got a pile up at the final corner now? Is that what's happening now? Is this what this race has devolved into? As everyone tries to scrap their way through the carnage that really shouldn't even be happening because the race is over. What the hell is happening? You know, they said it earlier on in the chat that on esports weeks the servers just completely destroy themselves, and I think that's been proven, hasn't it? Really. Esports week means we're screwed over. So thanks to that, Lee Maver, you bald man. That was
polite.
Yeah, I could have called him worse. It's not wrong, is it? But yeah. Sorry about the glitches, but we got there in the end. FOKK didn't mind you, but you know, still. Arnold then wins the race, his second victory of the season. He has won the regular season as well, means he gets 12 extra playoff points. Should be him pretty much sailing through then to the Championship 5, all going well. And then it's Deck, and it is Camu Bab on the podium. What results for them? And Arnold has completed the last to first. Didn't even factor that in. Is that the second time he's done this, or is it Khalifa who did it last? Either way,
Khalifa did it. Canada Season 2.
Either way, it is a second last to first, I believe, in this league. So well done to Arnold on that.
That's a proper NASCAR result, that is, isn't it?
Yeah,
20th
it is,
to
isn't
first. That's what we like to see.
And let's say Deck second and Camu third. Good result. Red Matt fourth. Shame about the safety car right for him, wasn't it? It ruined his race. Jake, he'll have taken that safety car. I know he started fifth, ended fifth, but with the way his strategy was going, was a little bit on the ropes for a little bit, but he's ended up looking okay. Cam, sixth, not bad from 18th, but not quite enough. Jordan, Pip to Vitino, who has to go through the chase campaign, then lucky boy for Pete. Then it's J-Luke and Thomas who complete the top 10. Then we have Yuri, Kyle, Iceman, Jess, OKK, Ben, Pete, who does get through, Jamie, Wes, and Kieran.
Yeah, that is Pete Knighton advancing to the playoffs on countback, not points. That's how close it was. That move from Jordan sealing Vitino's fate, sending him to the chase. So that's 6 races that he's going to have to fight over and try and get the most points out of everybody in the bottom 10 as we look forward to another postseason, Owen. Also, I don't think this lobby is going to end. I don't know about you.
I have a feeling it might not. I don't think it ended. I think that's a new glitch because it never seems to end anymore. I don't think any of the drivers, by the way, knew where they finished until the game fixed itself. I genuinely, yeah, because all the chat was just sitting there for, where have I finished, where have I finished, where have I finished. So, interesting.
Should we call it a day?
I think we should, because I think you've probably got a lot of explaining to do about the results, just so no one's confused. But, yeah, that is us for the first part of the season. The regular season is over, and the best drivers won in Arnold. Will he be able to take this form through and become our 4th different season champion overall? We will find out. But where are we next week, Jacko?
Sorry, we are at Spa, Belgium.
We'll always have to bring up the massive pilots we've had there in the past, of course.
And just quickly as well, that is Arnold's... Oh, he didn't get pole, did he? Sorry, Arnold's win puts him on double figures, so he's on 10 wins now, all time. He's never missed a race, and he is now 1 away from the all-time record with Khalifa.
very exciting. So, be ready for next week then, where Arnold hit his form in Season 2. If he's already regular season champion, who knows what will happen next time out. But expect the usual spills and thrills of Spa. You all know what to expect. And I hope you'll all be there to enjoy it with us. I hope you've enjoyed the first race back from the break as well, of course. Hope it was entertaining. And hopefully we'll be glitch-free next time. But we will see you next week. And until then, safe travels and take care, everybody.